welcome to the PSTA Podcast. This is Craig King, your host. We are so excited for you to listen to part one of our conversation with CarolinaCrED on Micro-Credentials. Before we jump into our conversation with them, I want to give a big shout out to Young Office at 1104 Shop Road. They are allowing us to record in their space today. If you're in the need for furniture, professional office furniture, I highly encourage that you reach out to them, where their core values are adding value, building relationships, act with integrity, be responsible, and earn loyalty. So thank you so much for our friends at Young Office for providing the space for this podcast today. Enjoy the show. Welcome to another impactful episode of the PSTA Podcast. I am so excited to have our friends from CarolinaCrED here today. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, I said it correctly. Okay, I was practicing on my way over here to make sure I said it right. And there's some letters that are capitalized, some that aren't capitalized. I'm going to let y'all talk about that in a second. I'm so excited to be here with our friends to talk about Micro-Credentials and the great work that they're doing for public education here in South Carolina. But before we jump into the nitty-gritty, the great work that they are doing, I want our friends to introduce themselves.
Craig, thanks so much for having us. I'm Cindy Van Buren, Assistant Dean for Professional Partnerships in the College of Education at USC and Director of CarolinaCrED.
Yes, and I'm Elizabeth Scarbrough, and I'm the Director of Personalized Professional Learning at CarolinaCrED. And I am a former middle school teacher and a former instructional coach.
I'm Libby Ortmann, and 40-plus years in education, lots of experiences, but currently I'm serving with CarolinaCrED in the capacity of a Micro-Credential support specialist, and delighted to be here.
I'm Janet Dedmon. I am the Platform Support Specialist for MCRED, and I was previously a middle school media specialist and am now an instructional technology coach with a school district.
And I'm Stephanie Martin. I'm the CarolinaCrED Communications Manager. My background is in communications, but I am thrilled to be learning about the education field and being able to tell the stories of some fantastic things going on in the state.
So let's jump right into the conversation. So, what is CarolinaCrED, MCRED, and what is the mission, and why has USC invested in Micro-Credentials in South Carolina?
Okay, I'm going to start with that one, Craig. And the competition between Cindy and Libby is who's the oldest and who's been working the longest. I'm on year 35.
Well, I got you 40 plus.
Okay, well, Libby wins the competition for having the most experience on this team in education in South Carolina. CarolinaCrED used to be called the Office of Educational Outreach, so some of your listeners may be familiar with that term because that office existed out of the College of Ed for 18 years. And basically it offered flat rate contract courses for educators. And a few years ago, when we realized the important nature of personalizing the learning for educators, we decided that a rebranding would be part of that shift in thinking, shift in culture. So we named ourselves CarolinaCrED for a couple of reasons. We still offer those classes for credit, and now we offer Micro-Credentials. We hope that you all believe that because we are housed within the College of Education at USC, that we bring a level of credibility to the work. And our last cred reference is, you've heard what the backgrounds of the team. We all have street cred.
That's right.
So that's how we came up with the name CarolinaCrED. I tell you, it's housed within the College of Education at USC, and its mission is to provide cost-effective, personalized professional solutions to school and district partners and to educational entities across the state. We do serve South Carolina solely. We are not serving anyone outside of the state of South Carolina. The solutions that CarolinaCrED offers range from courses offered at a flat rate per cohort, where a district could save 67% over regular tuition by doing a contract course. Customized degree programs, we have lots of examples of those going on across the state, where we bring the degree to you and we customize it to fit what your district needs. We offer endorsement packages. Next on deck is online learning modules, which we're super excited about. And then finally, what we're here to talk about today, Micro-Credentials. So all of these options are discounted for our partners. We are trying to serve the state and break even. So that's really the mission of CarolinaCrED overall.
So, Cindy, I want to ask a follow-up question, and I think with the PSTA and your organization, USC, specifically in this program, focusing on South Carolina, because PSTA, we focus solely on South Carolina. I know, being the flagship of institution of South Carolina, that you could spread out if you wanted to. Talk about the importance of serving only South Carolina with this program and why that is so.
Our dean says all the time, and we live it. We, as the flagship university, our mission is to serve our state, period. And so we don't just serve the Midlands. It's very easy to do partnership work with Richland 1 and Lexington 2 and other districts that are in close proximity to us, but our mission is to serve the whole state in whatever ways districts need. And so we live by that. The dean says all the time that we need to make it our mission to improve the lives of teachers. And we know that in turn that improves education, it improves student achievement, it improves district products and relationships. Everything is good or better if we take care of South Carolina teachers. So that is what we are trying to do.
Well, Cindy, thank you for that overview. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to talk just a minute about MCRED specifically within CarolinaCrED. So MCRED falls within CarolinaCrED, and we decided in the College of Education a few years ago to build a micro-credential platform for the state of South Carolina. We did that because we looked at several national platforms that were available, and it was clear early on to us that if this was designed for South Carolina, the micro-credentials needed to be designed for South Carolina. So all of our micro-credentials are specific to the context of education in our great state. We also want our educators to have a top-shelf experience with micro-credentials, and we know that quality control and quality assurance is very important in achieving this goal. So we decided to build our platform for the state of South Carolina. Our tagline is, it's built for South Carolina leaders and learners by South Carolina leaders and learners. And you're going to hear more in a little bit about what that means. But what it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that all of our micro-credentials were developed by faculty in the College of Ed at USC. Some of them were, and they're outstanding, but we have reached out to practitioners in the field to help develop micro-credentials. It's been truly amazing to me to watch the progress we've made over such a short period of time, and I'm just super excited for your listeners to hear from this outstanding team and hear more about what we're doing.
So excited about that. And as you were talking, I guess my chest was poking out a little bit with pride, because in education, I think I know South Carolina has been on the forefront of creating these homegrown programs. So I'm looking at CarolinaCrED, I'm looking at Teaching Fellows, I'm looking at Call Me Mister, all of these programs that are doing phenomenal work in the field of education and producing results. And so I'm just beaming with pride right now. You can't see me out there, but believe me, I'm beaming with pride right now. So as we move on, thank you, Cindy, for offering that overview of CarolinaCrED. We're going to move into our next question, our next question. So I know our listeners, our PSTA members, teachers out there, many of which have never even heard of micro-credentials. So a person listening to this right now could be the first time that they even hear about micro-credentials. So what are micro-credentials? Who should complete them? And why are they worth it?
Yes, and before I go into that too much, I'd like to expand just a bit on what Cindy said and help you beam a little more about the fact that when we say by South Carolina learners and leaders, we truly mean that. We mean the classroom teachers. We have a superintendent that develops micro-credentials for us. We have coordinators. We have administrators. We have all kinds of people who are walking out of classrooms going, we could do a micro-credential for that. And that's the power of the micro-credential, is that it's personalized for the professional learning, because people are walking out of them, the classroom's boots on the ground. So that's one thing that's, really special to us, and that we feel like it's making a huge difference in the quality of our catalog of micro
I am beaming even more. You said I was, and I am. Our current past president, Betsy Porchin, is very active in creating micro-credentials with you all, and she has nothing but great things to say about the process and being involved. So it's great that our teacher leaders are involved.
Yes, we are honored to have her. And our developers really are experiencing their own professional learning through the development of micro-credentials. So I'll go ahead and share a little bit about micro-credentials, and I'll give the official definition that we go by. A micro-credential recognizes a very discrete skill of an educator that's related to his or her practice, and it's based on evidence that demonstrates competency of that specific skill. And we refer to a group of micro-credentials of a certain topic or even content area as a stack. So we're often asked who can complete them. And we say all educators. We have administrators that are working on micro-credentials. We have district leadership. They're earning micro-credentials, classroom teachers. We have guidance counselors, instructional coaches, teachers' assistants, all kinds of different educators across all levels of experience and all specialties. And then we're also asked a little bit about why they're worth it. And I think, number one, I would say it's just the personalized professional learning aspect, period. It's making sure that we're able to offer these professional learning opportunities in a way that if we're personalizing learning for students, why aren't we doing it for teachers? And giving them that recognition that they deserve for both formal learning that happens, and both informal learning that happens. That teacher who picks up a book over the summer and reads about some kind of station activity and implements it in his or her classroom, and they're already an expert in that. So why aren't we recognizing that informal learning? So we also know that micro-credentials require a lot of reflection, and we know that reflecting helps learners identify and appreciate their past experiences and better identify the way they can improve their practice. And we know that that reflective practice has huge benefits for the educator's self-awareness and how they're doing in their classroom. And then the true power, I think, of the micro-credential, along with the reflection, is the fact that we give quality feedback, whether the person earns the micro-credential the first time around or whether they don't, and they do have to resubmit. Our assessors are experts in that content and in that subject, and so it's really important for us that they provide that quality feedback, because that demonstrates the growth of the learner.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, you hit so many great points, and I'll start with the last point you made. Teachers, we always know our great teachers are reflective practitioners. Like they thrive on accountability. Somewhere along the line, some people thought that teachers they don't want accountability, but teachers love accountability. We love that criticism. We love that constructive criticism, and those ideas from experts that can make us better at our craft. And so it's good to know that the process of, who can apply, and also the support that is there. It's not just, hey, sign up for this and we're going to leave you on your own. Offering that feedback, I think, is important. And then the next thing that really stuck out to me is personalized learning. When we look at some of our other ways that teachers decide to go to get advanced degrees or anything like that, it's really not personalized if you think about it, in most cases, right? Mm-hmm. But CarolinaCrED is saying, hey, we can personalize not only the micro-credentials, but also the degrees that Cindy talked about. And I think we're in a place now where we have teachers that are strong in certain areas, right? But then they're weak in others. doesn't mean they're not a great teacher. They just need that additional support. Cindy?
You just triggered a thought when you
Yes.
said strong in areas. We have heard from a few superintendents that one thing that they love about micro-credentials is they can see which employees of their districts have earned micro-credentials in which areas, and then they can play on those strengths. So if I've earned a micro-credential in managing time and there's a teacher across the hall who's struggling with managing time, they could partner with each other, and that teacher could help the one who's struggling. I thought that was a really unique take on it. Was thrilled to hear it the first time from a superintendent, but I think I've heard it 2 other times that they do look at who in their districts have earned which micro-credentials so they can leverage their expertise.
That is so good. And we have heard that from educators for so long. I believe that there's expertise outside of our state that we bring in, right? And that they bring these great ideas. But I also believe that sometimes it's right in our home district, right? In our home district,
Absolutely.
in our home state. And if we can
The
play on their
teacher
strengths,
next door.
the teacher next door. Absolutely. So that's so great that you brought that up.
I was going to add one thing.
Please.
You know, we had an experience with someone going through our alternative certification program, Carolina CAP, and he was working on a specific micro-credential on collecting academic feedback, and he was missing the mark. And just was struggling with it. And it was his third and final opportunity to submit it. And a coach walked in his room and said, you know what? You're really good at motivating students. Why don't you try the motivating students micro-credential first, and then let's revisit collecting academic feedback. And the amazing thing about that was the confidence that built in with that new teacher. And he was experiencing that success, but also that growth, and was able to approach that other micro-credential in a way where he could say, you know, I'm connecting that motivating my students contributes to how I collect academic feedback. And so linking those two together and knowing that can happen with someone going through an alternative preparation program, which we know is very important right now in the state of South Carolina. So that was also just a really good example about how they could use that feedback that they received, not only from their assessor, but their coach, and to help them grow and experience success.
Thank you so much for extending the conversation, Cindy and Elizabeth. And I want to bring up something before we go to our next segment. You know, when you talked about the stacks that are available, don't judge me. Are you going to judge me? Just say no into the microphone.
No.
So
Never.
when you were talking about stacks and how they all contribute to, I guess, a common theme, I thought about Rice Krispies, the cereal, and how it comes in different flavors, right? But they're all contributing. They're all Rice Krispies, right? Now you have to tell me what your favorite flavor of Rice Krispies are, if you have one. I'm the Frosted Rice Krispies guy. Frosted. Janet said frosted.
Just original.
Yeah, I'm plain Jane
That's me.
too.
Plain Jane.
Don't eat Rice Krispies at all.
No, this is the no judgment zone. Stephanie?
I didn't know there were other flavors.
That's good. Didn't know there were other flavors. That's funny. But so I think about that, and I think our teachers will look at it that way too. I think we all can associate a lot of things in life to food. At least I can. But thank you for that overview. And so we're going to take a quick break from the podcast, from this episode,